Fox News Alert now on some new reporting from Israel over its increasingly tense showdown with Iran. It now appears that some Israeli government officials have already mapped out their plans for a possible armed conflict with Iran. Israel's civil defense minister saying in an interview that he sees a month-long conflict on several fronts with several enemies, including not just Iran, but Hezbollah in Lebanon and Palestinian militants in Gaza. He also warns hundreds of missiles could hit Israeli cities daily in the event of Israel choosing to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, potentially killing, they estimate, about 500 Israelis. So what do the Israeli citizens think of this? My next guest is Israel parliamentary candidate Ari Abramowitz. He's founder of thelandofisrael.com. That's an English-speaking TV show broadcast from Israel. Ari, welcome back to the program. Yesterday we talked about how they were handing out gas masks to Israelis. Now we get actual estimates that, they say some 500 Israelis are likely to die. The experts we've spoken to in the U.S. Side believe that's a low number. How are the Israeli citizens reacting to all of this?
Shalom, Megan. Listen, we're the most peace-loving people on the planet. We love peace. Our word for hello and goodbye is peace. We don't want a war, but what's the alternative? The alternative is waiting for Iran to get a nuclear weapon. And how many millions of Jews in Israel or anyone around the world? How many millions will die?
So there you go, folks. Israel's a peaceful nation, and Jews around the world are going to be under attack around the world globally if Israel doesn't strike Iran. You like that rationale? Remember I just covered about how Iran holds the third largest Jewish population. I think they're going to be okay. But it does make sense that Fox News would have basically a Zionist on there to interview him. And, this is before the, November elections and stuff like that. So, got a lot of news to cover in this first part. So, thank you for joining me. This is GGN. My website's ggnonline.com, and on YouTube, my channels are ddarko2012, and my backup channel is ddarko2013. Alright, this first article I have up is basically following that video. Israel prepared for a 30-day war with Iran. It says here that Israel's outgoing home front defense minister says an attack on Iran would likely trigger a month-long conflict that would leave 500 Israelis dead. So everybody's warning Israel too, including the United States, and that if they do decide to go ahead and attack unilaterally, quote unilaterally, it's going to create a large regional war. So what's going on in Syria is already spilling over. If they attack Iran, it's going to spill over everywhere. So, you could take that 500 and put easily 50,000 within a 10-year period. Richard Silverstein told the BBC that he had been given an internal briefing memo for Israel's 8-member security cabinet, which outlined the Israeli military and what they would do to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons, which of course hasn't been proven yet, but either way, says here the purported leaks suggest that the military operation would begin with a massive cyber attack against Iran's infrastructure, which Israel has actually already been found to be doing that, followed by a barrage of ballistic missiles launched at its nuclear facilities, which I don't doubt will happen, because I remember hearing someone recently say that Iran's a pretty high-tech country, sophisticated and stuff like that, so they're going to have a lot of their stuff underground, so I don't know, maybe they're going to be able to do that, but military command and control systems, research and development facilities, and the homes of senior figures in nuclear and missile development would also be targeted. Israel, again, has been responsible. It's known around the world that Israel was responsible for the cyber attack, and they were also responsible for the assassination of Iranian scientists, which are actually trying to sue right now. I think they're trying to sue Israel for it. Israelis oppose war with Iran despite government's hawkish stance. So when they say the people of Israel are peaceful, they may be right. I find it hard to believe, being that there was a bunch of Americans that actually are moving to Israel despite the risk. So they know the risk. They know that they're going to have to join in basically compulsory military service to defend the Zionist regime, as Iran puts it. And as Turkey found out, the Turkish aid ship, when they went into Gaza and had basically SWAT teams and special forces repelling on their ship, they along with the rest of the world basically came up with the idea or conclusion that Israel is not really a peaceful nation. So, but yeah, they're going to go to war even though the people aren't for it. But the Israeli, defense minister, I believe this is Barak, he said here, public opposition to war on Iran does not matter. So the Israeli cabinet's case for war on Iran defies reason. So in a response to a flurry of protests and civilian statements opposing an Israeli war on Iran, the defense minister struck back, dismissing the protest as irrelevant and declaring it the government's business alone. So it's kind of like the United States, right? So it says here, agricultural ministry, food prices to rise by or up to 17%. So Israel is on the verge of a food crisis. Also, they have an energy crisis. They don't even have enough power, or their power keeps going out, having blackouts. Yet they're going to declare war on other countries. So it's just fascinating. It sounds like the United States, which is, I mentioned this before, Zionist-occupied country, so territory. It says here, Iran on Israel, existence an insult to all humanity. So is he saying that he's going to attack Israel and wipe them off the map? No, he's saying that they're illegitimate. So he says here that the president of Iran said that his attack on Israel was an effort to protect the dignity of all human beings. The existence of the Zionist regime is an insult to all of humanity, he said while addressing the worshippers at Tehran University. He also said, today confronting the existence of the fabricated Zionist regime is in fact protecting the rights and dignity of all human beings. And Saudi Arabia, of all countries, they're also having some dissent and some protests and stuff going on in their own country. They've been, clamping down on neighboring countries like Bahrain and all that, dressing up as Bahraini officers and basically helping out Israel and the United States. And it says here, this was kind of a shocker, Saudi Arabia to shoot down Israeli fighter jets, has warned that they will intercept Israeli fighter jets that enter its airspace en route to an attack on Iran. So I found that very hard to believe. But then when you see this is August 16th. This was dated August 10th. So August 16th, Saudi Arabia's national oil company kills network after a cyber attack. So said here it's the largest in the world. This company confirmed it's been hit by a cyber attack, like Iran, that resulted in malware infecting the user's workstation, but did not affect other parts of the network. So that's Israel giving them a little warning, right? That they don't mess around. And a senior Iranian military commander says that Syria is the red line of anti-Israeli resistance front. He said the Syrian people that have basically become a target for terrorists as well as arrogant regimes affiliated with the West. And then again, you got another country, France, right? France saying what? Syrian government should be smashed fast. That's right. So what's going on in France? Well, the French economy sees zero growth in the second quarter. Saw zero growth. So, and what else? You have Finland preparing for Euro breakup scenario report. This is just recent from August 17th, but gives you some background that, is Finland calling for war? No. Prepare for riots in a euro collapse, says Foreign Office. So the British embassies in the Eurozone have been told to draw plans to help British expatriates through the collapse of a single currency amid new fears, for neighboring countries. So this is all going on, right? You have the French president saying that the Syrian government should be smashed. Their economy has zero growth, and now they have riots. As was warned, this was, let's just go ahead and check out the date here, waiting for my computer to go down here. November 25th, 2011. So there you go. Almost a year ago they said this. Now look at riots spark fears of economic unrest in the French city of Amiens. The violence has raised fears of more youth unrest as France's underprivileged face a bleak economic future. So yeah, in Greece they're killing themselves, and in other places the youth unemployment is so high, their future is bleak, right? So it says here, world powers ink nuclear deals with United Arab Emirates amid pressure on Iran. 6 companies from the world's nuclear powers have concluded nuclear contracts with the UAE amid the continued opposition of their respective countries to Iran's nuclear energy program. Just to let you know that it's all business, one of these companies is Russia, right? It's supposed to be Iran's ally, will provide raw materials enrichment, uranium, to the UAE's 4 planned reactors at Barakah nuclear facilities in western region of Abu Dhabi. And British warship exercises with Middle East U.S. carrier strike group. So Yeah, that's right. HMS Diamond joins the USS Enterprise to demonstrate the Type 45 destroyer's outstanding air defense capabilities. This is Thursday, August 16th. Then what the big news is what? Oh, it's Assange, right? WikiLeaks, Ecuador. Ecuador grants asylum to Assange, defying Britain. So somehow this had to do with Sweden, and Britain's at the forefront now, right? You got British cops ready to lynch this guy outside his hotel. It says here on Wednesday night, Mr. Patino of Ecuador said the British authorities had threatened to force their way into the embassy, adding, "We are not a British colony." On Thursday, just before the announcement of asylum, President Rafael Correa has said on his Twitter account, "No one is going to terrorize us." So, England, yeah, sending British warships out there to the Middle East, to war posture, getting in the middle of this this deal with Julia Assange and embassies and stuff like that. Bank of England is preparing for a euro collapse. But, all is well on the home front because Prince William rescued a girl. So I guess that makes everything that the British government is doing is great. It's just funny how this comes out right now, right? As far as public relations go, that's the timing, the coincidence. U.S. warns Iran to stay out of Syria. That's right. So a huge bomb blast rocked the heart of Damascus yesterday. That was actually the UN, and the UN building was attacked by the actual rebels that the U.S. and the West are supporting. So, but U.S. is warning Iran to stay out of Syria. They say here tens of thousands of ground troops needed to secure Syria's chemical weapons. 60,000 ground troops just for weapons, more for, quote, peacekeeping, officials guess. So there's no specific plans to invade Syria for right now, but the estimates coming out of U.S. sources say that such a war could be an enormous undertaking with tens of thousands of ground troops being deployed just to try to seize chemical weapons in Syria. So this all has to do with Iran. So when I said 500, that's just a joke, right, from Israel attacking Iran or something like that. You're talking about millions, right? And it all centers around what? Syria first, and of course Pakistan, and then Iran and Lebanon. So the U.S. is warning a sovereign nation to stay out of another sovereign nation that actually wants their help, while at the same time, at home front, jobless rates rise in the U.S. states. So the unemployment rate rose for the fourth month in a row to 9.8%, almost 10%. So again, we're talking about the real unemployment rates now. It probably was about 17%. Now it's probably about 20 to 23%. So, I mean, that's pretty crazy. U.S. government's foreign debt hits record $5.9 trillion. So let's go to war and tell other countries what to do. Hezbollah will give crushing response if Tel Aviv, Israel, attacks Lebanon, says the Hezbollah Secretary General. He warned that the anti-Israeli resistance movement will turn the lives of hundreds of thousands of Israelis into living hell if Tel Aviv attacks Lebanon again. That's right, they attacked before a Russian embassy, and says if we are forced to use them, says here, I guess, the movement of missiles, it says here that they will use them to protect our people, and our country will not hesitate to do so, and that will turn the lives of hundreds of thousands of Zionists into a living hell. So this is all just recent news, guys. This is all blowing up around and popping off at the same time, probably all coordinated by the powers that be. But either way, it gives you the big picture of what's going on here. It says here, Saudi Arabia, UAE, our buddy, Qatar and Kuwait urge Lebanon exodus. So after all of that, what they just said, the four Arab states backed by the Zionists have urged their citizens to leave Lebanon amid signs that the conflict in Syria is spilling over into its western neighbor. This is what I was talking about from February 2012. Attack on Russian embassy in Tripoli violates Vienna Convention. So this was actually in Libya. This wasn't Lebanon. There's a Tripoli in Lebanon, I believe. So just want to get that right there. Syria rebels may attack Russia naval base. So, and this was what? July 26th. Good luck with that, though. I don't think the ragtag rebel terrorists are going to take on the special forces of Russia, the Spetsnaz, or however you pronounce it. So, it says here, Russia warns the West against sabotaging Syria accord. That's Lavrov again, the foreign minister, warning the West that against sabotage a political transition. In other words, regime change. Israel is losing support among Britons, so support for the Israeli regime by British politicians is increasingly diminishing. So you talk about a Rena mob or Renner protesters. You have Russian embassy is attacked in the UK by vandals. Hell, maybe Israel hired them, right? And they're useful idiots, like I said before, right? Because maybe they'd be protesting the fact that their own home is now a full-blown police state after the Olympics. And when we come back in part 2, we'll get into the Russian punkers getting 2 years jail for protest. A feminist group trying to create instability in Russia, probably imported. by outside interests. Like when they had protests in Russia before, oh, these big protests, they were all filing into the U.S. Embassy. Thank you.